afternoon na. Okay, so kasi sa real estate, every day is good morning. So good morning, guys. Welcome to the second day of the introduction to real estate service training. This is from June 29 to July 1, 2022. Okay, as always, before anything else, let us begin with our morning prayer. Okay, so let us put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, we offer everything to you during this seminar. May we ask for your blessing and divine providence that the activity set for this undertaking be successful and effective. We pray that you would deepen our comprehension, broaden our thinking, and transform our understanding of what we are about to discuss today. For you are our wise counselor, our perfect teacher, and our faithful friend. Your generous blessing would mean the success of this seminar, and we know that without it, we can do nothing. May we be living witness of your genuine love through the implementation of the knowledge acquired in this activity. All this we pray to the Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God forever. Amen. In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, so before anything else, meron lang akong quick reminder. Well, paulit-ulit na naman itong reminder na to, but for those people lang na hindi na basa or nakaligtaan, let me just remind everyone na number one, again and again, create your merit account. Create lang, no need to register. Kasi yung iba ginagawa, nag-create na nag-register pa. So just create an account. Next, handout is available on your dashboard. So kung may account na kayo, just check your dashboard and then nandun na yung handout natin. Downloadable na siya. Then second to the last, assessment and feedback form will be available after the seminar. So we will email you once it's available na masagutan. Okay, so last day pa po, hintayin nyo na po yung email kung ready na yung feedback and assessment form. Lastly, meron akong nakikita na naka-off pa yung audio. So please turn on your audio kasi hindi natin maririnig yung discussion ng ating participants today. Sorry, ng ating speaker for today. So please turn on lang yung audio, not the microphone the audio lang para marinig niyo po yung speaker. Makikita niyo po yun doon sa upper left. Yeah. Okay. So for this afternoon, our topic would be taxation from 1 o'clock to 6:15. And then from 6:15, it's 6:15 to 6:30 or less. It's our reminder. So don't worry. I know taxation, marami sa atin may hirapan. Parang marinig pa lang natin, parang ang hirap-hirap na. But don't worry, everyone. Our speaker is here to make our lives easier and mapadali ang ating understanding with taxation. And probably soon, ma-enjoy nyo na ang taxation. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce our speaker for today. She is a real estate broker, real estate appraiser, real estate consultant, and a CPA. She is also a fiercely accredited lecturer. She is also an environmental planner, life and variable financial advisor. She was fourth placer during the 2008 real estate broker licensure examination and 10th placer last 2015 real estate appraiser licensure examination and first placer last 2019 real estate consultant licensure examination. So ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Attorney Rivera Dacula. Hi, Attorney.
Hi. Thank you, Merit, also for inviting me once again. Can you see me? Okay. Am I clear?
Very clear po.
Okay, thank you so much, Farms. Anyway, I will be your speaker for 5 hours, so it's from 1 to 6:15. As mentioned, we will have a short break before the second Para naman tong my first half and second half, di ba, na presentation. But we have two topics, main topics for today. We have the local government taxation, the first part, and the second part is the national taxation. So, as mentioned, di ba, pag taxation pa lang medyo kinakabahan na tayo dahil computation and very technical yung subject matter. But don't worry, I'll try my best to convert the technical terms to layman's terms. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so taxation. This topic is really very important to any real estate practitioner for that matter. The topics that we're going to discuss today is useful not only because you will be uh, an accredited salesperson, but of course, this is useful also in our personal transaction because someday soon, no, you might be investing on properties, and in each investment or each whatever transaction it is, whether it's sale, donation, estate, no, palaging may tax dyan. So, yan lang ang pinakasiguradong nangyayari, no? Tax and debt, no? So, as they say. So, anyway, for this morning, the first part of the topic is about local government taxation. And then the next part is national taxation. So, sa first part, i-discuss natin lahat ng taxes na binabayaran natin sa local government unit. Okay? Para, what's this? In order for us to process the transfer, what are those taxes needed? Or if you have properties, ano yung mga taxes na binabayaran natin sa LGU for the local government unit. So the second part of the topic, yung taxation on yung national taxation, those taxes that we pay in the BI are related to the real estate, related to real estate transactions. No? So like capital gains tax, withholding tax, um, donors tax, and estate tax. No? So we will discuss with those. For 5 hours, lahat yon, we will be discussing those things. Ideally, if this is a normal real estate management course, each topic na sinabi ko, one sem yan. No? Pero here, since this is an entry-level seminar, at least you will just have the working knowledge, no, on those topics, and for you to be ready once you are starting already practicing the profession. So we will be giving you the basic things, no, in order for you to have that working knowledge. Okay, so as I've said, taxation is really a little bit technical and it involves computation, but very important. No? Very important when you're trying to study particular law or particular computation for that matter. Very important that you know the purpose why you're doing that. Para once you know that, medyo at least yan lang, no? It will motivate you to more or less learn the topic or the subject matter. In fact, no, in all sale transaction, vital po yung taxation. Minsan, dyan nagkakaroon ng issue between the seller and the buyer, no? Who will shoulder the tax. If ever I want this net amount, no? And I will be the one shouldering the tax, how much should be my selling price, diba? So, those things, and how will you be able to know the figure or the amount that they are going to prepare if you don't know the formula or the basis of the computation, diba? So that's why in the module for salespersons NG level, uh, the PRC, actually it's the PRC who tried to choose this topics, no? They gave us the kung ano yung dapat at kung ilang hours, they are the ones who gave that to us. Because the trust really of the PRC is to professionalize the real estate service profession. Unlike unlike before, kahit sino lang pwede magbenta. Well, it's so sad that sometimes right now, even hindi accredited, meron pa rin nagbebenta. No? But organization try to motivate them, no? To why not accredit na lang. And I would like to congratulate all those who are here right now because we're doing things right. when you want to grow big in the business, you have really to do things right. And since you will be accredited sales persons in the future, at least you have that right, no, to demand for a commission. I guess you learned yesterday in your lesson that was this they you was this you cannot demand commission if you are not uh, an accredited or accredited salesperson. So let's talk about taxation. So taxation is the inherent power of the sovereign state to raise money or revenue necessary to finance the functions and operations of the country. So this is an inherent power of the state. We cannot avoid this, but we really have to pay tax. As they say, from birth to tomb. The moment pinanganak yung bata, talagang may tax component na dun sa pambayad sa hospital, sa gatas, and even until death, no? We pay the corresponding estate tax in order for the properties of the decedent to be transferred to the heirs. Okay, so taxation. So it's really inherent in the uh, inherent power of the sovereign state to collect those taxes. Kasi otherwise, wala pong perang i-spend ang government for the projects, like the build projects and so on. No? So that's why it's the so-called lifeblood of the government. So without taxes, well, the government cannot function. Okay? And usually, real estate transaction, yun yung good source of taxation or taxes. No, that's the reason why uh, the moment no, the moment you have a property, you have the obligation already to pay tax. Okay, and those taxes that we pay usually are those that we pay in the LGU, like the real property tax. So, and if you have transfers like sale, donation, and estate, as I mentioned, no? uh, hindi matatransfer ang property, okay, to the buyer, to the donee, or to the heirs unless you pay the corresponding taxes. Okay? So, kahit saan tayo pumunta, meron talagang tax. So, that's why it's very important for us to learn the topic taxation. Now, the laws governing what's this? Wait lang. I just close this. The laws governing taxation and real estate transaction, dalawa yun, as I mentioned. We have the local government taxation governed by the Local Government Code of 1991 and the National Taxation or the RA 10963 or the train law. You might ask, no, na why the train law lang ang i-discuss, hindi kasama yung create law. Kasi dun sa train law, yun yung nag-modify or nag-amend sa mga vital taxes that we pay whenever there are real estate transactions. Sa create law naman, yung parang change lang doon ay on the corporate tax, no? From 30% to 20 or 25%, or was this the the percentage tax, no, which is from 3% to 1% until ngayong June. So at any rate, yun po yung ano. So what we will discuss, the first half, we will discuss about local government taxation or the local government code or lahat ng taxes na binabayaran natin sa local government unit that involves real property taxes and the transfer tax. Now, on the second half, we will be discussing about national taxation. We will be discussing about capital gains tax. Oh, I'll touch a bit about income taxation, no? Para at least aware lang tayo on our obligation. Then we'll discuss about capital gains tax, creditable withholding tax, donor's tax, estate tax. So, lahat yan i-discuss natin this afternoon. So, there will be handouts on this, and I guess Merit will be distributing it to you. Um, what is important right now is you try to listen. There are a lot of things that I discussed that are not in the handouts. Lalo na kung paano nyo i-connect. Maybe some of you have already experiences on how to deal with or how to deal with real estate. No? So kung ano yung mga taxes, kung paano pag-transfer, yung iba, alam ko expert na on that. But there are some people here na first time nilang marinig ang mga topics na to. Our objective and my objective, of course, is for you to learn. Of course, you need the certificate for the purposes of the accreditation, but very important po na at the end of the day, uh, medyo meron tayong natutunan. Okay, so uh, I will be discussing the topics first, and then after uh, let's say the topic, you can raise your questions. Okay? Para baka kasi yung mga tanong nyo nandun sa sunod na slide yung answer. Okay? And then we will have a short break, a 5-minute break or 10, no? Para lang mag-stretch and all, then we will go to the next topic. Okay? So, we discussed local government taxation. So, local government assessment and taxation of real property. So, it is governed by the RA 7160. It, this is a particular law, no, that we are going to discuss this afternoon. Can you type in the chat box kung saan kayo located right now? Let me know kung saan kayo located right now para alam ko kung sino ang mga participants. Thank you. Medyo mabilis ang aking chat box dito. Cebu, Bulacan, Tarlac, Pampanga, Iloilo. Okay, Pampanga, Pasig. Ang bilis, ha? Thank you for responding. At least alam kong gising pa kayo. So, thank you. I am fond of asking questions. So, don't hesitate. No? Just type there whether it's correct or wrong. No? So, thank you. So, we're all over the Philippines. Maraming taga Cebu. Okay, so thank you. Cagayan de Oro, maraming Bisaya. Bulacan. Okay, thank you. So based on your answers, we are from different LGU, no? Iba-iba po yung ating mga, meron taga Nueva Ecija, Butuan. Okay, welcome. Yun yung advantage ng Zoom, no? Kasi parang we can be together, no? Kahit iba-ibang lugar tayo through this platform. And yung objective natin to learn, we can still get it at a lower cost. No? Unlike before, you have to travel to Manila just for you to have the CPDs. No? So, okay. Then, local government taxation. Okay. Can you type 1 if you have seen an actual tax declaration? Type 2 kung you haven't seen the tax declaration. Just be honest so that I know how to, I want the profile of the audience. Thank you. So, merong hindi pa nakakita, meron nakakita na. Okay, just key in the number. At least, what's this? I know you are still awake. You can have your coffees with you if ever. Okay, so, okay. So, in which case, thank you for that. So, marami na nakakita, okay? Meron din pailan-ilan na hindi pa nakakita, okay? Very important, no, that when you are, now that you are trying to venture into real estate, it's very important that you have seen an actual document, the actual document, I mean. So, you should see an actual tax declaration, you should see the actual, title, di ba? Iba kasi yung confidence pag medyo nakakita ka na eh. And usually when you are with your client, medyo napapansin niya kung alam mo or hindi. Can you type also kung in your place, what is how much now is a house and lot in your place? Magkano na ngayon yung range ng house and lot? I just wanted to know the amount. 4 million, 2.8 million, 4 to 6 million, 8.5 million, 5 million. So we're talking about millions, okay? Okay, thank you, thank you. Where can you find, or you cannot even find, more less than a million property right now, right? Kung merong mga ganun, siguro maraming problema yan. So, na gusto lang ma-dispose. No? But, based on your answers, lahat milyon po ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. So, you can expect, mabuti kayo na Ma'am Maylene, may 500,000 pa. Saan po kayo, Ma'am? Ma'am Maylene? Rizal. Okay. I hope may title yung 500,000 mo, Ma'am, ha? Kasi yung iba, baka rights lang po. May title po ba yung 500,000? Baka marami pong mag-invest dyan. Thank you, Ma'am Eileen, for listening. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're talking about, meron 21M, bomba. So, yun, medyo million po yung pinag-uusapan natin. So, you just can imagine, no? If you are, if, if you are the seller, they will really look for somebody whom they can trust. Kung sino ang makakapagbigay sa kanila ng good service in order for them to more or less guide them on where to place that amount. And to ensure that the amount that they paid will, or the property that they bought, the titles will really be transferred to them. Diba? And they will be guided accordingly on the transaction. That's the purpose of why we are here. Diba? Why they need to have a real estate service practitioner. Okay? Unlike before, when we talk about agents, when we talk about brokers, ay naku, laway lang ang puhunan yan. Ay naku, nangungumisyon lang. But now, if you can see, no, based on the topics that were discussed to you yesterday and today and even tomorrow, and the fact that you are here right now listening to me for 5 hours straight, you are investing on yourself. Why? Why is PRC requiring us to have this? Because they want us to more or less be competent. And when you are out in the market and you are out there and try to sell properties, definitely your clients will choose someone who is proficient and competent. That's why we are here to tell you the basic things para at least you can really guide your clients properly. Okay? So thank you for those who responded to my question as to sino na nakakita ng tax declaration. It's okay if you haven't seen it, but I suggest that you try to get hold of an actual tax declaration. Dapat sabay-sabay tayo dito matututo. No? So, that's why I'm asking also kung sino pang hindi pa nakakita para I can discuss this thoroughly. Okay? So, this is how a tax declaration would be. Okay? So, I will just give you an overview or the details of this so that you know para pagpunta natin sa specific provisions of the code, no? Medyo mas marirelate na natin. Most of the time, when we talk about local government taxation, yung iba, medyo lumulutang sa topic na to. Kasi nga, first time nilang marinig, hindi naman masyadong encounter. But once you have your own property, once you try to deal with several kinds of situations already in real estate, you will see the importance of this. And yun. So, the things that you see in a tax declaration, you see the TD number. So, nandyan yung TD number, TD or tax declaration number. Diba? So, that number will change every time there's an information that changes in the document. Okay, the property identification number or the PIN or the property index number, that is a 14-digit number. That is a 14-digit number. Actually, pag tingnan natin yan, number lang talaga yun. But to some who knows the codes, okay, kung anong meaning ng code na yan, they will know where the property is located. Okay, that's a 14-digit number. They will know yung first 3 digit ata, this province, then city, then barangay, then section in the barangay. No? So, with that number, malalaman nila kung ang kahit, lalo na yung mga kabisado yung codes, as I said. No, kahit yung number lang yan ang ibigay mo sa kanila, they will know where their property is located. Sabi mo, mami, di naman to dito, mami. Sa Sambuanga naman to. Yeah? So, they will know that too. Maybe this is the first time for you to know na may kabuluhan pala yung number na yan. So, mayroon palang ibig sabihin yan. So, kahit sa unang code pa lang, alam niya nila, ay, sa ano yan? Sa Cebu. Diba? So, ganun po. Owner, nandyan din, of course, kung sino may-ari ng property. Okay? Most of the time, no, may mga instances na ang owner ng title iba sa owner ng tax tech. Bakit nangyayari yan? Kasi posible, nabenta na pala ng developer sa tao, pero ang na-transfer lang yung title, hindi na-transfer ang tax debt. You will learn in your documentation, I guess, tomorrow that you will transfer not only up to the title, you have to transfer also the tax declaration. Can you follow? So, yun. Then you can see there the TIN, then the address, and the telephone number. The address that you can see there is the address of the owner. Kung saan talaga nakatira ang owner. Anong purpose ng address? Yung purpose ng address is kung saan ipapadala ng assessor kung may mga notice, diba? Kung sakaling may mga nasa delinquent na kayo, i-auction na ang ano nyo. So, very important po na updated po yung address. Sorry. So, there are some nagrereklamo na bakit na auction ang property, hindi naman sila na-inform. When in fact, kung titingnan sa tax debt, pinadalhan naman talaga doon ng notice. It just so happened na hindi na yun yung kanyang policy. So, very important po na updated po yung address natin. Then, administrator or beneficial user. Administrator kung sakali yung property po, let's say for example, ang may-ari naman po, pero hindi pa na-settle ang estate. Okay, so, pero they let somebody, administer the estate. So, ilalagay yun. Now, address also of the administrative beneficial user. Beneficial user, let's say for example lang, may land, tapos merong pinaupahan for 50 years o 25 years, tapos nag-construct ang tao ng nag-construct sila ng building on that. So, posibleng ilagay dyan ng beneficial user ng property is okay. Now, meron dyan na location of the property, kung saan talaga located ang property. Then, the TCP, CLOA number, OCP, so nilagay dyan. So, makikita din kung anong title number. Diba? Very important that you know those information in there. Some of you might have seen really an actual tax application that you haven't really examined the details of the document. Very important that you know the details and you know the purpose of those details. Now you know that PCT is there, OCT is there. It's possible to say that you don't have the copy of the title, but you know its title. And you cannot find the title. You don't even know the title number. You know lang it's registered in, let's say, Makati City, but you don't know the title number. At least, by knowing that that information is found in tax declaration, at least, okay, I'll try to check it. At least meron kayong pagsisimulan kung nagre-research man kayo. Okay? So, CCT, pag sinasabing CCT, it's Condominium Certificate of Title. Okay? Condominium yan, Condominium Certificate of Title ng tawag. Then, we have ang date niyan, and then survey number, block number, lot number, then we have boundaries. So, kung anong nasa north, ano ang nasa south, ano nasa east, ano nasa west. Okay, so, dapat alam kung ano yung boundaries. Usually, it will tell you also, di ba may iba sa atin na na-inherit nyo lang yung property, hindi man lang kayo nakapunta pa doon. So, by looking at the document, you know already, along the shore pala to, facing pala to sa dagat, di ba? Or beside, along the road pala to, di ba? At makikita mo yan sa boundaries. Very important also that once you are dealing with transactions, you have to consult the proper professional for that. If you really wanted to know the exact boundaries of your property, you have to consult a genetic engineer for that matter, a licensed genetic engineer. Iparelocate nyo para alam nyo kung tama talaga yung boundaries ng property. Okay? Baka hindi pala yun. Baka yung based on the technical description, hindi pala yung property na yun. Then we have the kinds of properties. Naka-check dyan kung question. Can you type in the chat box? If you have a house and lot, how many tax declaration do you have? If you have a house and lot, how many tax declaration do you have? Thank you. Thank you very much. Sige, at least you're still gising. Okay, thank you. So, dalawa. Isa para sa lupa, isa para sa lupa. Now, kung sakaling, kung sakaling yung land, no? Yung land, yung tax debt na yan ay para sa land, paano mo malalaman? Naka-check yan, land. Paano mo malalaman kung building? Naka-check yung building. Diba? So, diba, it's good. We're not yet in the topic mismo. Ha? We're just giving you an overview. But I tell you, by knowing the items here in the tax debt, it will be easy for you when we go to the provisions later on of the code. Now, you have the number of stories, kung ilang story, ilang palapag yung building na yan, with description, okay? Classification, meron din dyan. Classification, if it is residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural. Area, kung land yan, kung anong land area. Pag building yan, floor area. Okay? Market value. Yung market value na yan po ay determined by the assessor. Okay? Meron po silang procedure na pinapalo. Hindi yan yung, kung magkano yung selling price dyan, yan yung ilalagay. Hindi yan yung, let's say, appraiser, di ba? Ano nang kung magkano yung value ng property, specific. Hindi yan. Meron po silang procedure na pinapalo. Actually, what they do, all transactions, no, whenever you have a sale, as I said, after transferring the title, you have to transfer the tax debt. So all documents are submitted to the assessor's office as well. So with that, they will get the value or the selling price of the property, and they put it in a matrix. They try to tabulate it, no? And they will see how frequent this amount is being used. And because, diba, you learned also yesterday that once you are an assessor, you should be a licensed real estate appraiser. So with the technical know-how, no, they will try to more or less recommend how much would be the schedule of market values in the area. So after that, meron yung iba sa lupa, iba sa building. Yun yung ginagawa nila, no? So pagkatapos, pag sa lupa, let's say, itong area na to, mas appraisal yan. Sa area na to, 10,000 per square. Sa area na to, 5,000 per square. Sa land yun. Mayroon siya schedule of market value. Sa building naman, ang schedule of market value nila, depende sa construction materials ng building. Diba? So, kung light material, may mga type yan. No? Kung light material, let's say 2,000 per square. Sample lang. Pag, let's say for example, high-end, yung material, 20,000 per square. So that's why when you see people from assessor going to your place, iba minsan pag mag-ocular sila, mag-inspect sila pag may transfer, they will bring some measuring device, diba? Hindi na ngayon tape measure, meron na ngayon laser, meron maraming mga gadgets na ngayon, diba? Hindi na yung parang yung iba dati pencil. So at any rate, kasi i-multiply nila yung floor area dun sa schedule of market value. So after that, pag may schedule of market value na, isasubmit yan sa sanggunian. And then sa sanggunian, magkakaroon yan sa deliberation. Once it is approved, there will be an ordinance, and then it will be published, and that's the time that schedule of market value will be used. So, meaning, ang market value na makikita mo dyan, hindi lang discretionary hindi yan parang kung ano lang trip ni assessor na ilagay. May basis din yan. No? So, that's why when you try to question it in the future, you know na assessor, pwede bang makita kung ano yung basis ng computation for the market value? Ano ba ang schedule of market value natin? So, bakit lumaki ang aking market value? Diba? At lumaki rin yung aking binabayaran. So, I wanted to know, tama ba ang pagkakompute? So, how would you know if it is tama? How would you know kung tama yung babayaran yung real property tax kung hindi nyo alam yung tax? Hindi nyo alam kung paano pinakompute. Diba? So, okay. That's why we are here, to learn all those things. Okay? So, diba pag alam mo talaga yung purpose mo, it's so easy. It's easy to understand. But if you don't know your purpose, even in your life, if you don't know your purpose, parang sabog ka, diba? So, yun. So, we have also actual rules. you can see their actual use. So, kung ano talaga ang gamit ng property. We'll try to amplify that later. Assessment level, that's a percentage. You multiply that percentage to the market value, you will get the assessed value. These two values, magkaiba yan. No? Hindi sila pareho. You will see uh, why I am emphasizing it. Take note, please take note, yung market value at assessed value, magkaiba yan. Eh, hindi siya the same. You should know when to use the assessed value. You should know when to use the market value. Very important. There are some na pag alam lang nila value, hindi nila sandali. Saan ba dito ang dapat kunin yung amount? Baka yung assessed value na nakuha mo. Yung pala dapat market value. Nakuha mo market value na basis, yung pala dapat assessed value. So, they are two different values. No? So, you have to know when you should use the assessed value, when you should use the market value, when you are computing. Okay? Now, you will see there also if it is taxable or if it is exempt. No? And you can see there also the effectivity of the assessment. You know, this information, like the effectivity of the assessment, very important yan. Kung sakaling, let's say for example, you have a deed of sale. Deed of sale was notarized in 2018. Okay? Pero ngayon mo lang transfer yung deed of sale. And kasi notaryado na yan eh. Diba? Notaryado na. Example lang, notaryado na yan. So in which case, ang kukunin mong value dapat for the taxation, for the computation of capital gains at all, dapat yung 2018. So titingnan yan dito kung yan ba yung effective during that time. So nakikita nyo yung year and quarter. Then, nakikita din yung approved by, kung sino ang nag-approve, at saka yung date ng approval. And then you can see there also that this declaration cancels ED number. So, this one, this will tell you ano yung previous tax declaration. Diba? Tapos kung sino yung owner, at ano yung assessed value. Now, you can see also there the memoranda. The memoranda parang annotation yan. No? Kung ano ang kung ano yung um, basis or bakit nagkaroon ng change, okay, kung mayroong revisions like this is on that, nakalagay yan. Or kung mayroong ground for its annotation, no? Kung may complaint na it's a duplicate, no? It will be also indicated there. Very important. That's the reason why in your due diligence, you have to get the latest certified true copy of those tax declaration and the titles, no? Para you know the status of the property. Now, this declaration, very important, no? This statement is very this very small, medyo blurred lang siya. This declaration is for real property taxation purposes only. So sabi, ang tax debt daw na yan is for real property taxation purposes only. So it's not a proof of ownership. It's only a proof that um, that you are in possession of the property and you are paying the tax on that. Yun yan. But that tax debt can be used for you to have title over the property naman. Now, if together with other evidence, no? It's not only that one. So take note, yung values natin dyan, yung mga classification natin dyan, is only for real property taxation purposes. It doesn't mean to say na was this residential siya dyan, residential na talaga siya. What I mean to say is, dyan kasi, later on, when we go to the fundamental principle, naka-specify kung ano yung actual use. And we will amplify that as you said later. Now, and the values indicated herein are based on the schedule of unit market values prepared for the purpose and duly enacted into an ordinance by the Assembly and Blanc under Ordinance Number Blanc, dated Blanc. It does not and cannot by itself alone confer any ownership or legal title to the property. So, diba? As mentioned kanina, yung values, yung market value na makikita natin dyan, ay based on a schedule of unit market value na may ordinansa po rin dapat. No? So, in which case, once you try to question certain values in your tax deck, take note that there should be a basis of those computation. It cannot just be placed there by the assessor just kung ano lang ang treatment nila. No? You should know, maybe in some point, no, there is a discretion. They can exercise this discretionary power, but most of the time, in putting the values there, they have to follow certain procedures, and there should be a basis on the computation. And now you know that the values that you see there is based on the schedule of market values. That's the reason why there are some tax declaration na kahit ngayon ang value dyan is 10,000 per square, doon sa tax debt, 1,000 per square feet. Why? Because it might happen na hindi pa sila nag-revise. Hindi pa sila nagkakaroon ng revision. So kung wala pang revision doon, tendency is they cannot change the value. Kasi ang schedule na pinapalo lang nila based on the ordinance ay yung dati pa. Diba? Pero pag mag-revise sila, okay, kung may ordinansa ulit to amend the previous one, that's the time they can change things. But you might ask, no? Hindi pa nga sila nagre-revision, bakit nag-increase? Kasi, let's say for example, sa building nyo, posible, dati baka nipa house yan, kaya yung value na ginamit to compute to that was multiplied to the floor area is yung value ng classification ng make o yung construction material. Diba? Na nipa house. So, baka yun 1,000 per square lang. Eh ngayon, medyo naka-LL ka na. Medyo mga high-end na yung mga material na ginamit mo. So, doon sila dapat magkuha ng value sa kung ano yung material na ginamit. So, they multiply it with the floor area, then they get it. No? Take note of the last sentence. It does not and cannot by itself alone confer any ownership or legal title to the property. Okay? So, hindi yan, as I mentioned, is not a proof of ownership. Alone, na walang ibang, that document alone without other corroborating evidence, hindi yan matuturn into a title. No? So, of course, those documents like tax debt, we use that, no? To prove that you have been there in open, continuous, exclusive, notorious possession of the property. And you have that uh, possession. Now, now we discuss about fundamental principles of taxation. Again, these fundamental principles only apply for local government taxation. Okay? Okay. Are we okay? Am I clear? Before I proceed, actually, we will just start after those discussion. This is the main part. No? We are just starting the provisions of the local government code. But I find it very important for us to discuss the details about tax calculation para magkaroon tayo ng connection dito when we discuss on the details on each factor that you see there. Okay? Is everything okay pa? Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I hope you're learning. So, see, the fundamental principles of taxation. So, appraisal, assessment, levy, and collection of real property for taxation purposes shall be governed by the following fundamental principles. Number one, real property shall be appraised at its current and fair market value. So, uh, dapat daw, pag mag-appraise ang assessor on that, dapat current and fair market value. Now, you will ask, sabi current and fair market value, bakit yung tax debt namin parang luma na yung value niya, hindi na yan yung prevailing rate. As I've said, it's because wala pa silang revision. It's the current and fair market value at the time of revision. So every time the assessor will make revisions on those values, they must get the current and fair market value at that time. So that's the reason why they try to collate all the deed of sale that we submit to them, or all the documents that we submit to them. They try to tabulate it and get the more or less the fair market value of the property. Now, real property shall be classified for assessment purposes on the basis of actual use. Please take note of this. So, sabi, uh, a real property shall be classified for assessment purposes. Yung classification dapat for assessment purposes for real property, very specific, is based, must be based on actual use. So, kung anong gamit ng property, diba? Yun dapat yung classification for real property taxation purposes. Don't confuse yourself for other uses, for other classification, so to speak. Pag makakita kayo ng classification sa inyong tax debt, it means that's the actual use. The actual use of the property. Whether it's agricultural, residential, commercial, so on. Take note of this. We'll try to amplify about actual use later. Now, real property shall be assessed on the basis of the uniform classification between each LGU. So, dapat uniform. So, once there's already an ordinance on what are the parameters for the classifications and all, then it must be based on uniform classification within each LGU. The appraisal, assessment, levy, and collection of real property tax shall not be left to any private person. So, it shall not be left to any private person. Ah, dapat pag mag-a-appraise ka, at yung inano dito na appraisal assessment, yung sa local government unit, no? Sino ang pumupunta sa inyo to get the more or less the the value to be indicated as the market value in the in the tax declaration. Diba, it's the employee from the assessor's office, right? From the government who assess, who levies. It's the government. Where do you pay? Can you pay? Can you type in the chat box? Saan po? Ay, hindi ba ako marinig? I just saw a comment. Am I not clear? Or is it just his signal? Okay, thank you. Maybe you can check your signal, no? Baka kaya hindi ako that clear, no? Thank you for that confirmation. Very important po to call my attention, na baka mahaba ng pinagsasasabi ko dito, hindi niyo pala ako naririnig, sayang naman. So, and I tell you the things that we're discussing, at least it will be easy for you to understand the notes. And you know already, once you are out there trying to deal with your clients, mas mainti yung mga discussion natin dito kasi mas makaka-relate kayo. Okay. So, can you type in the chat box, where do you pay your real property taxes? Okay. Sa mga naka-experience na magbayad, saan po kayo nagbabayad ng real property taxes? City Hall? Okay, very good. So, sa ano po tayo nagbabayad dito, ha? Sa City Hall, no? Sa Treasurer's Office. Doon po tayo nagbabayad, di ba? So, it cannot be, wala akong collector na pwedeng mag-roam around to get your real property taxes. It must be paid or it must be done through the government channels. Although right now, they the government offices try to make use of the online platform. You can pay already online. And yeah. So some may think, di ba, sabi it should not be led to any private person. Why pay online? Di ba, you go through GCash, you go through certain banks. Is it not in violation of number 4? The answer is no, because what we do is we pay directly to the account of the local government. Okay? Now, the appraisal and assessment of real property shall be equitable. So what does it mean? So when we say it should be equitable, meaning uh, hindi porket kapartido ka din ni mayor, medyo mababa ang rate na ita-charge sa'yo. Dahil mas mataas, kontrapartido ka, mas mataas. Hindi po. No? It must be trust. the rates or the appraisal, the assessment must be just and must be approved. Okay? So those are the fundamental principles of taxation in the local government. So now, general rule is once you have a property, you have the obligation to pay the tax. Okay? Once you have a property, you have the obligation to pay. So unless it is exempted. Okay? So we are talking here about real property tax. So pag may property kayo, you own a house and lot, you own a condo unit, expect that you have to pay real property tax. Okay. Now, real property owned by the Republic of the Philippines or any of its political subdivision, except when the beneficial use thereof has been granted to a taxable person. So, so when the real property is owned by the Republic of the Philippines, so yung title ng property nakapangalan sa Republic of the Philippines, or let's say for example, the city of Tacloban, or city of Makati, yung gobyerno po ang may-ari. They are exempted from payment of real property tax. Except kung pinaupahan nila to a taxable person. So, ang titulo nakapangalan sa government, pero pinaupahan nila sa, let's say, sa McDo, sa Jollibee, di ba? Isa pa lang. So, in that case, that land is subject already to real property tax. Can you follow? So, even if it is in the name of the government, the title is owned by the government, or the property is owned by the government, the fact that the beneficial use of that property is granted to a taxable person, then that property becomes is subject already to real property tax. Charitable institutions, churches, parsonages, convents, appertaining thereto, mosques and all lands, buildings, and improvements actually, directly and exclusively used for charitable, religious, or educational purposes. Okay. Take note, etong exemptions na to, hindi yan automatic. You need to apply. Okay? Kasi let's say, for example, your client is an educational institution. Binili niya ang property from an individual. So, para magtayo siya din ng school. So, definitely, once you purchase the property, there is a corresponding tax deck on that. And that tax deck is taxable, di ba? That the previous owner is paying the real property tax. It doesn't mean to say that since now the owner is an educational institution, automatic ka agad na exemption sa real property tax. Hindi. You have to apply and for the exemption and prove that you are actually directly and exclusively using the property for educational purposes. Okay. Now, non-profit or religious cemeteries or burial grounds. So, pag ganyan, pwede rin ma-exempt from real property tax. And we're talking about real property tax. Then, question, before we go to number 4. When you hear the word machineries and equipment, what comes to your mind? Is it movable property, meaning you can move it from one place to another, or it is immovable property, you cannot move it from one place to another? When you hear the word machineries, what comes to your mind? Thank you. Thank you for responding. How about the rest? Thank you. At least I know you're still awake. Okay, thank you. Most of the time, thank you. Most of the time, no, pag marinig natin ang sige, sige. How about the rest? Sige, I'll just wait for your answer. Most of the time, di ba, once we hear the word machineries and equipment, ang ating pag-ano talaga niyan is movable. No? You can move it from one place to another. Diba? Like, for example, gym equipment, you can move it from one place to another. Or other machineries and equipment. unang ano talaga natin move on. But we are discussing here real property tax. How can a personal property or a movable property be assessed with be imposed with real property tax? Kasi dapat, pag mag-impose ka ng real property tax, dapat real property ang ini-imposean mo. Diba? So, well, I have to emphasize no, that there are some movable properties that can be considered as immovable or real property. And it's provided for in the Civil Code of the Philippines. In the Civil Code of the Philippines, uh, it states na there are some movable, as I said, property that can be considered as immovable property. Very important to know. No? Especially whenever magkaroon na kayo ng transaction. Now, according to the Civil Code, ang sinasabi, pag ang movable property daw naka-attach to an immovable and you cannot get without destroying the immovable, then that movable becomes immovable. Okay? So let's say, for example, generator. Generator, you can move it from one to another. Diba? But it's a big generator na naka-attach yan sa wall na hindi mo yan makukuha kung hindi gibain yung wall na yan. Example lang. That generator uh, magiging ano yan, can be considered as real property or immovable property and can be subject to real property tax. Okay? Now, another, if the intention of the owner is to place the movable property permanently to the immovable, then that movable becomes immovable. Let's say, for example, paintings. You can move paintings from one place to another, but if the intention of the owner is to place the painting permanently to the wall, and walang dapat kumuha niyan, no? Ah, kasi gusto niya nandyan lang yan sa mga wall permanently para pag pumasok sa restaurant niya, alam nila na restaurant na yun because of the painting. So, in which case that painting becomes immovable property. Now, the third one, very important and very common to okay, pag sakaling ang movable property ay vital to the industry. Like for example, yung mga ginagamit sa mass production ng mga let's say for example, ng mga t-shirt, mass production ng mga, yung nasa factory ng mga machineries and equipment, those machineries and equipment are considered to be immovable property because they are vital to the industry. In which case, those machineries and equipment will have tax declaration bawat isa nun. And it is subject to real property tax. Okay? So, of course, other immovable properties like land and building, they have really real property tax. I'm just emphasizing about machineries and equipment. Maybe some of you, this is the first time for you to know na yung machineries and equipment pala, pwede palang ma-imposean ng real property tax. Can you type 1 if this is the first time for you to hear about it, na mayroong real property tax ang machineries? Diba? So some of you, this is the first time. Why am I emphasizing that? Because it might happen that, thank you for responding. Thank you. So it might happen na you are going to sell a property, like for example, a factory, and you just check the tax deck of the land and the building. You did not check you did not check the tax deck of the machineries. Yung pala, meron pa palang mga machineries doon na may tax deck. Tapos, ang arrangement ni pagod sa seller is ikaw yung mag-shoulder lahat ng taxes. Kasi mura lang binigay. Yung pala, yung taxes na yun, meron pa mga machineries doon na hindi, ang na-compute mo lang yung land and building lang. Kasi yun lang yung pinakita. Pero nung mag-due diligence ka, meron pa palang machineries na naka-attach dyan sa property. So in which case, hindi kayo mabibigyan ng tax clearance kung hindi yun lahat nabayaran. So with that information, at least you know now that pag makakita kayo ng machineries on certain properties for sale, you have to ask the seller, is there a tax deck on this? Meron bang copy dun sa ano? You have to check also with the assessor's office kung may mga tax deck yun. Kasi para at least ma-include mo sa computation mo ng taxes. So, yun. Now, pero pag ang machineries and equipment are exclusively, actually directly and exclusively used by local water district and government-owned or controlled corporation engaged in the supply of water and generation of electric power, then that machineries and equipment are exempted. Okay? So, pero pag hindi magpo-fall dyan, tapos they are considered to be real property, then taxable yun. No? Pero pag uh, immovable siya, or real property ang classificate or makukonsider natin yung machinery as immovable, pero they are actually directly and exclusively used for local water district and GOCC engaged in supply of water and electric power, then they are exempted. Okay? So, what else? Um, all real property owned by duly registered cooperatives as provided under RA number 698. So, pag ang land is owned by a cooperative, yung mga cooperative na naka-register sa CDA, no? So, they are exempt from real property tax. Then, machineries and equipment used for pollution control and environmental protection. So, once you see those machineries, then they are exempted from real property tax. So, at least kung sakaling inadvertently na-include yun, yung mga machineries na for pollution control and environmental protection, now you know na you can request that it should not be included. Diba? Dapat accepted siya. Okay? So, let's define certain words. Okay, fair market value. When we say fair market value, is the highest price in terms of money which a property can command if exposed for sale in the open market, allowing a reasonable time to find a buyer with knowledge of the use and to use the property is capable and adapted to. No? So, yan yung definition ng fair market value. Usually, when we talk about fair market value, it has also been defined as the amount which the purchaser is willing to, but not compelled to buy, would pay an owner of the property, and the latter willing but not compelled to sell, would accept the consideration of price. Okay, so here in local government taxation, when we talk about fair market value, yan yung amount no, na let's say pag-determine nila na that is included in the schedule of market value. So yan. Ito yung kanilang parameters when they try to get certain values in order for them to include it or to use it as the value for in the schedule of market values. Okay, so you can see the market value there. Okay, now assessment level. Assessment level is a percentage of the fair market value at which the assessed value is set. So when we talk about assessment level, percentage po yan. We multiply it to the market value in order for us to get the assessed value. So that's assessment level. We'll try to see later on the different assessment levels. Then we have the tax rate. Tax rate is a percentage of the assessed value at which the property tax is imposed. So we will try to know later on ano yung mga tax rates na dapat natin tandaan. So, yeah. So you can see their assessment level. So itong assessment level, multiply yan sa market value para makakuha ka ng assessed value. That's the reason why market value and assessed value hindi sila pareha. Kasi percentage lang yung assessed value sa market value. Okay? When we talk of assessed value, it is the fair market value multiplied by the assessment level and synonymous to taxable value. So we multiply market value by the assessment level makukuha mo yung assessed value or taxable value. So you can find it there, assessed value. Okay, now we go to actual use. I told you kanina to take note of number 2 on the actual use. Now, the classification for assessment purposes must be based on actual use. So, what is actual use? Actual use refers to the purpose for which the property is principally or predominantly utilized by the person in possession there. Okay? So, now, let's say for example, you have a house na yan. Doon kayo nakatira. Okay, now, what is the actual use of the property? Is it commercial, residential, industrial, or agricultural? Can you type in the chat box? Sorry. Is it residential, commercial, or agricultural? Thank you for answering. Sige, yung iba. Okay, thank you. Residential, very good. Yun yung actual use kasi doon sila nakatira, di ba? Now, what if you decided to place your office there in the garage? Since isa lang naman yung sasakyan, hindi na lang office yung portion. So, what is the actual use of the property? Isa lang, ha? Residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural. Okay, thank you for answering. Okay, thank you. Mix yung answer niyo. Marami yung commercial. Actually, the answer is still residential. We read again the definition. Actual use refers to the purpose for which the property is principally or predominantly utilized by the person in possession of it. Okay? So, ano yung predominant use? By the way, when you talk about, when you see condominium units, usually, anong zone ba sila? Saan mo makikita usually mga condominium? Nasa commercial zone ba? Mostly. Commercial area ba? Residential area ba? Yung makikita mo mga condominium. Usually, nasa commercial. No? Let's say, for example, meron kang condo dyan sa may Rockwood, example lang. So, malapit dyan sa commercial, di ba, mga offices nandyan yung ano. And then you have a condo there. Okay. Yung condo mo, doon ka nakatira, okay, doon hindi mo pinaupahan, my question is, what is the actual use? Anong classification dapat? Is it commercial or residential? Is it commercial or residential? Mm-hmm. It's good that I'm asking. Actual use, no? When we talk about actual use, anong gamit niya? Yung condo mo, kahit nasa commercial area, dahil ang gamit mo sa property mo is residential, actual use mo ba? Actual use mo is residential, then that should be the classification in the tax law for taxation purposes. Okay, can you follow? So, pag ikaw mismo ang nakatira dyan, kasi minsan pag iba pinaupahan mo, kahit for residential purposes only, dahil iba na yung nakatira, they consider it, or lalo na kung pinaupahan, they consider it as commercial. Kasi ganun po. Now you can see an actual use there. So again, the information you get here is only for the purposes of real property taxation. Okay? So hindi pwede magamit yan, o residential na to. Pwede na kaming mag-ano pang agricultural ng mayroon pang ibang mga requirements. Okay? So the amount of tax basic in the case of province, um, not exceeding 1% of the assessed value. Take note that when you try to take note of a percentage, it must be you should know ano yung basis ng percentage. Okay? So here in the province, not exceeding 1%, in the city or municipality within Metro Manila area, not exceeding 2% of assessed value. So, yun, no? So, take note ang basis assessed value. Kung sa, example lang sa isang city sa Metro Manila, um, they lower the rate from 2% to 1.5. Is it okay? Is it in accordance still with law? Okay. It's okay, right? Kasi ang sabi dito, not exceeding 2%. So if lower than 2%, it's good. Special levy. Special levy fund or special education fund. So aside from the basic real property tax, nag-i-impose sa atin yung city assessor, no, ng special education fund tax. So what is this? A special levy of 1% of the assessed value is imposed on real property in addition to basic real property tax. So if you can notice now your billing, aside from the basic real property tax, you can see the SEF there. So that's the special education fund tax. Then you have also idle lands. So a province, so baka sa atin, ang familiar sa atin, basic tax and the SEF. Baka yung iba ngayon lang nakarinig ng idle land tax. Possible pala pag mataksan yung ibang property na. So a province or city municipality within Metro Manila area may levy the annual tax on idle lands at the rate not exceeding 5% of the assessed value. So the basis also is the assessed value. So imagine na kung sakaling may property ka dito sa isang Metro Manila, 2% basic legal property tax, 1% SEF, and 5% idle land tax, medyo 8% pa yan sa tax pa lang. So, malaking bagay. So, what ang purpose kasi ng idle land tax is for the buyer or for the owner to use the property accordingly. Hindi lang yung parang maglalambang ka lang sa ganyan. So, for them to motivate people to join them, they to for the people to more or less use the property, they can impose idle land tax. So, kailan naman nagkakaroon ng idle land tax? Okay. So, kung meron kang agricultural land, more than 1 hectare in area, tapos suitable for cultivation, dairy, inland fishery, and other agricultural uses, one half of which should be uncultivated and improved by the owner's job. So, if you have this kind of property, tapos still, uh, hindi pa nagamit, okay, walang improvement, no? So, pwede kung depende yan sa inyong assessor kung um, i-classify nilang idle land. So, usually, at least, kung makakita kayo or maka-encounter kayo, alam nyo na meron palang ganun. At hindi lang yun gawa-gawa ng assessor, but there is real basis. Agricultural lands planted to permanent or perennial crops with at least 50 trees to a hectare shall not be considered idle lands, including lands actually used for grazing purposes. Okay? So, kung sakaling kahit may ganyan kayong property na more than 1 hectare, pero doon yung pinapakain ang kalabaw, ang kabayo. So, ginagamit mo sa pagkain ng mga kabayo. So, in which case, you should not be imposed with idle land tax. Lands other than agricultural, more than 1,000 square meters in area, one half of which remain unutilized or unimproved by the owner. So, pag ganito rin, hindi ginagamit, pwede rin mag-impose ng idle land tax. So, medyo malaki. Imagine 3 o 2 plus 1 is 5, 8%. Malaki. Then, regardless of the land area, residential lots in subdivision duly approved by proper authorities, the ownership of which has been transferred to individual owners who shall be liable for additional tax. So, regardless of the land area, take note, pag, let's say for example, may lot kayo na binili sa isang subdivision. Pumili ka, matagal na hindi mo ginagamit, posible yan, i-charge yan ng assessor ng idle land. In Quezon City, I've experienced that they charge idle land tax on a lot in within the subdivision. Now, dahil ayaw natin magbayad ng 5% or may rason tayo na kung bakit hindi natin na-improve yung property kaya siya na-consider na idle, then what are our grounds to more or less question it? So, eto po. The special levy on idle lands does not apply to landowners who are unable to improve, utilize, or cultivate their lands due to any of the following causes. So, kaya siya naging idle dahil sa itong mga reasons. No? So, in which case, yung idle land tax will not apply. No? So, adverse peace and order condition of the place where the property is located, so, or the land is located. So, possible na kaya hindi niya na-improve yung property kasi palagi dun yung enkwentro ng military and industriya. Example, baka pamatamaan ng bala, di ba? So, kaya hindi mo talaga improve. Then, financial losses of the owner due to fire, flood, typhoon, earthquake, and other similar causes. So, pag let's say for example, ang may-ari, marami sunod-sunod ang kanyang problem, at may financial losses due to fire, flood, typhoon, ito yung mga grounds. Pag meron dyan, then he can request for the idle land tax not to apply. We're only talking here about idle land tax. No? You still have to pay the 10 the what's this? The basic tax and the SEM. So kung may court litigation involving the land, talagang hindi mo yan ma-improve. So that's why it's still idle at the moment. Tapos unfavorable physical factors such as rocky nature of the ground, or even topography in the use of agricultural land, which render the land unsuitable for cultivation. So, pag sakaling despite of your effort in order for you to more or less let the crops grow, then because of the physical factor or rocky nature of the ground, then kaya hindi yan na-improve, then it could be a basis na para yung idle land tax hindi na-impose. Okay? Now we go to assessment levels. Still have to do that. So the assessment levels to be applied to the fair market value of the property to determine its assessed value shall be fixed by ordinances of Sangguniang Panlalawigan, Sangguniang Panglungsod, or Sangguniang Bayan ng municipality within Metro Manila area. So, yung assessment level, dapat meron niyang ordinance also. So, yung mga rates, may mga ordinance yan. Hindi basta-basta mga impose. So, itong assessment level, it depends. No? Kung ang land ay residential, timberland, 20%. Agricultural, 50%. Commercial, industrial, 50%. Okay. You see the importance also of knowing actual use. It might happen na naka-commercial siya, yung pala dapat residential. Malaki din. On buildings and other structure, in other structures kasi dahil pwede magkaroon ng separate tax deck ang swimming pool, another house. Like that. So if you can notice on the rate, the higher is the market value, the higher is the rate. So that's why it's very really important na more or less, um, you know what is really the actual use of your property. Para at least you can make a timely uh, protest or question those things. Mga kaibigan naman natin yun. Now, assessment on machineries. Assessment level on machineries for classification is agricultural. So kung ang machinery ginagamit, actual use niya is sa agricultural, sa residential, commercial, industrial. So pa agricultural, 40% of the value, yung assessed value. So assessment level 40%, residential 50%, commercial industrial is 80%. Okay? So those are the assessment level. Ang gamit ng assessment level, okay, ang gamit ng assessment level is you multiply it to the market value for you to get the assessed value, which will be basis of the which will be the basis for the real property price. Okay. Now, assessment level on special cases. So kung sakaling cultural, scientific hospital, then 15%. Pag local water district, 10%. Kung GOCC, engage in the supply and distribution of water and or generation transmission network power, then that's 10%. Okay? So see, kung hindi tayo discuss kanina about machineries and equipment, medyo lulutang tayo, Mr. Paul. So let's compute. Let's try to compute. I will give you 3 minutes for this. Fair market value times assessment level equals to assessed value. Then assessed value times the tax rate, we have the tax rate. So let's compute. No? So sample computation, can you compute kung residential siya, can you compute kung commercial siya. So vacant lot siya, 1,000 pesos per square, 2,000 square meters. Rate is 2%, assessment level for residential is 20%, for commercial is 50%. So kindly try to compute. Okay, we'll amplify that later. Okay, we'll discuss I'll give you 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. I'll just close the tab. Thank you. Please try to answer para at least magkaroon lang tayo ng experience. Formula, wait lang. Okay, formula. Copy the formula, then we go to the given. Can you type in the chat box mamaya yung answer niyo? Okay na tayo sa formula? Just post your answer once you're done. Try to compute lang. It's so easy. Okay. How about the rest? Try lang para at least madali na later. Okay. Okay, let's answer. Yeah, let's answer. Um, Thank you for those who tried to answer the exercise. Actually, it's very important. I know some of you will say, "Ah, bakit naman kami nagko-compute niyan eh? Pag pumunta naman tayo sa City Hall, bibigyan naman tayo ng assessment kaagad, di ba? We don't need naman the computation pa to compute. We don't need naman to compute pa, di ba? So, ganun. But to tell you, in once you're in practice, there are times that your client will be asking you, how much ba is the real property tax? Let's say, for example, hindi ako nakabayad ng 3 taon, can you give me an estimate? Di ba? At least you know already how to compute it, di ba? Yung information mo lang nasa tax din. Di ba? So, makikita nyo, kukumpita nyo, approximately ganito po. Di ba? Pero, mas mabuti po kumuha tayo ng computation. Pero at least, ikaw din, kung ikaw mismo ba yung may property, more or less you know, because you know how to compute it, more or less you will know how much will you pay, how much will you prepare. Okay, so, and also, once you know how to compute, what's the formula, what are the factors involved, it would be easy for you also to check, no? Kung sandali, bakit tumaas ang market value? Bakit tumaas ang ganito, no? So, yun, those things. So, correct yung mga answers nyo, yung iba. So, 2 million times 20%, we have 400,000. 400,000 times 2%, we have 8,000 pesos. 2 million times 50%, we have 1 million. 1 million times 2%, then we have 20,000 pesos. That's the basic real property tax. Okay? So, of course, as we discussed, no, hindi lang po real property tax ang binabayaran. Meron pang SEF or the Special Education Fund tax, no? Which is, how much is the rate of the SEF? Can you type in the chat box? How much is the rate of the SEF? Based on what you recall. How much is the rate of the SEF? It's 1%. Very good. Okay. Thank you. Dapat may pa-price tayo sunod. Sige, sunod na. Okay. Now, para paunahan, di ba? Thank you very much. SEF is 1%. Automatic, inaano nila yun. So, how do we compute? Same procedure. We have 2 million times 20%, 400,000. 400,000 times 1%, we have 4,000 pesos. 2 million times 50% of 1 million pesos. 1 million times 1% of 10,000 pesos. So we have total residential 8,000 plus 4,000 with 12, and 20 plus 10 we have 30,000 pesos. And okay, so yun. Now look at the uh, result. Let's say for example, ang Ang classification or actual use na linagay nila ay commercial na dapat pala residential. Okay? Kasi yung iba sa atin, pag na-transfer na ang tax debt, na-transfer na ang titulo, ito marami ka ng pera, hindi mo masyado yan chinecheck. Diba? Lalo na kung hindi mo alam, ano ba, bakit ka mag-check, hindi mo alam na dapat pala ganyan, ganyan. Diba? Now that you know, it's very important that you check your tax debt. Um, there are some na naka-classify pala siya na commercial when in fact the actual use is residential. Diba? Like for example nga, yung mga condo units. No? May iba naman na residential ang nakalagay sa condo unit tax deck. Yung condo nyo ha, may sariling tax deck yan. Um, may iba, dahil siguro nakalagay sa commercial, pero dahil siya yung may-ari ang nakatira doon, dapat residential yun. So, I had an experience wherein when I checked excuse me, when I checked the tax deck of a condo unit, the classification is commercial. So, mataas ang binayaran tax. Now, dapat residential kasi yung may-ari mismo ang nakatira. So, you have to more or less request for the reclass of the actual use because it might matter in the computation of the real property tax. As you can see, no, here, dahil 20% lang ang assessment level, so mas mababa siya kaysa sa commercial na 50%. Diba? So, that's why, but take note, that one is only for taxation purposes, for the real property taxation purposes. Iba po ang basihan sa mga national taxation, iba yung basihan for the conversion of the DAR, iba yung mag-iba-iba ho yan. Although, sometimes the details that you can see in the tax deck will be a corroborative evidence when you want to request for the conversion, no? from agricultural to residential sa DAR, no? Or for the reclassification from let's say for example agricultural to residential, no? So may mga ano yan, may mga iba-iba hong procedure yan, iba-ibang requirements. So ito is more on the actual use for real property taxation purposes. Okay? Dapat alam po natin ang difference. Maybe some of you, yung mga pinagsasabi ko, hindi pa masyadong clear or medyo, ano ba yun, hindi ko first time pa marinig. But later on, once you have a lot of transactions already and you try to learn from every transaction, then you will realize na, ito pala sinasabi. To tell you honestly, no, even sa mga medyo matagal ng brokers, even let's say for example, even me, no, kahit pa let's say I have 6 profession, every time I go to an office, okay, every time I go to an office, I always try to learn from those people I talk with. Diba? It, a lot of instances, yes, I know the basics, I know the ano, but some iba kasi kung ikaw mismo ang naglakad, iba yung learning mo if you experience how it is to pay, how it is to ano, diba? But if you have time, no, if you have a chance, try to grab the chance to learn the process. It will help you in your future transaction or even help you for additional service that you can give to your client for a fee, of course. Because take note, by the way, once you sell a property, it's not automatic that you have to process the transfer unless it is agreed upon. No? Ang commission mo is only up to the point na ikaw ang naging procuring cost for the sale. Kaya nagkaroon ng bentahan dahil ikaw nag-offer, ikaw nag-negotiate, kaya natuloy. Yun, pwede ka na magkaroon ng commission doon. To process is a different thing. It is actually, there should be a cost on that. They have to pay an additional cost for that. And going to BIR, going to the LGU is not a joke sometimes. No? So, mahaba ang pilahan diyan, ang hintayan diyan, 'di ba? So, papabalik-balikan ka pa, 'di ba? Iba kasi 'pag na-experience mo kasi once you have already staff, you can understand your staff. Or if you know, once you have a transaction after your experience, you say, ay nako, kahit ganyan yan sa ang rini-record talaga nila ganito, diba? May mga ganun. So, you try to learn from every experience that you have. Kahit pareha-pareha yung condo na sale, bawat transaction, meron kang ganyan mapupulot kang experience, lesson. Try to just discover that lesson. Okay? So, let's proceed. Um, okay. Now, declaration of property as for assessment. So, by the owner, the owner must file the sworn declaration of value of the property once every 3 years during the period from January 1 to June 30 and every 3 years thereafter. So, yan yung ano nila. No? So, but usually, okay, wait lang. Uh, but usually, uh, hindi, di ba pag owner, hindi masyadong nagde-declare o nagsasubmit ng sworn declaration of value. Di ba? Parang natatakot sila pag mag-submit sila, baka tumaas ang date. But based on what we discovered, what we learned, no, what we discussed, there is naman a basis for the market value. But usually, this sworn declaration of value, they use this for the next revision. Diba? They use this for the next revision. So by the person acquiring real property or making improvement thereon, so that must file a sworn declaration of the true value of the property within 60 days after the acquisition of the property or upon completion or occupancy of the improvement whichever concern it. So this one, we cannot avoid but to really file a sworn declaration of value. Kasi pag maghingi ka ng permits at mag-improve ka ng iyong property, definitely before they can give you occupancy permit, they will be asking for a sworn declaration of value. Or before you transfer the tax declaration, before they release it, they will require a sworn declaration of the true value. Ganun po yun. So you have to make that or to file that within 60 days after the acquisition of the property or upon completion or occupancy of the property or improvement whichever comes from the year. So, by the assessor. Pwede rin by the assessor. If the owner refuses or fails to make such declaration within the prescribed time as required, the local assessor may make a declaration with true value of the property. So that's why sometimes we receive notice from the assessor na, oh, your value is already 10 million pesos yung property. Diba? So sabi ko, bakit ang taas? Diba? So, pero they have the they have the power to make such make such uh, notices. No? Based, of course, there should be a basis on that. Kung magkano talaga ang pinagkano nila. Okay? Now, the revision, ideally, yung mga assessor dapat, yung mga tax declaration natin, dapat ideally, every
GMA.
3 years papalitan yan. No? Dapat magkakaroon ng revision. But
GMA.
the problem is, hindi nagagawa
GMA.
yun because of the fact na
GMA.
it entails cost, it entails money, effort, and staff, diba, time, like that. So, kulang ng staff ang assessor's office, hindi mo na yan magawa, walang pera ng munisipyo, hindi mo magawa. Kaya, marami pong mga tax deck na hindi pa po updated, diba? Hindi na revise. Ideally, what they have to do is every 3 years, at least hindi lalayo ang value po within 3 years. So after 3 years, they have to revise it. But as I said, hindi nakapalo. If you can notice na in your tax debt, yung kanilang value since 10 years ago pa or even 15 years ago pa. Diba, sa ganun. Date of the effectivity of the assessment or reassessment. Now, general rule, All assessments and reassessment made after January 1 of any year shall take effect on January 1 of next year. Okay? So, let's say for example, you receive right now a notice that the value is already 10 million pesos. Okay? The effectivity, okay, of that value for taxation purposes is the following year. Okay. So, pag mag-ano ng assessment and reassessment made of January 1, um, it will take effect January 1 of next year. Of course, you can request for reassessment if needed. But unless it is a protest or it's an appeal, we will go to that later. Okay? Now, however, yung the reassessment which will take effect at the beginning of the quarter following the reassessment. So, may iba instance na yung effectivity of the reassessment is the beginning of the quarter following the reassessment. So, kung nag-reassessment kayo in the next following quarter. So, kung ito yung mga rounds, no? Kung sakaling there is a partial or total destruction of real property, uh, if there's a major change in its actual use, okay, and then any great and sudden inflation or deflation of real property values, and gross illegality of the assessment or any other abnormal cause. So here, like for example in number 1, is it possible
Alden
that
Richard.
in one land may tatlong bahay, thus may tatlong tax debt? Possible ba yun? Possible ba na sa isang property may tatlong bahay, tapos tag-iisa yun ng tax net? Possible yun? Yes or no? Okay, now, possible, right? So, now, let's say for example, bumagyo, like what happened in Tacloban City before. Well, I'm from Tacloban City, but I'm working now in Makati. And it's the fiesta right now in Tacloban City. Anyway, so, let's say for example, nag-wash out. Instead na tatlo ang bahay, naging isa na lang. Yung dalawang bahay nasira, na-wash out, nawala. Okay. Now, take note na kung ano yung nasa assessor's office, pag hindi ka magsulat or hindi mo yan ipa-delete or ipa-proceed with laws, it will remain there. Can you follow? So, let's say for example, na-wash out yung dalawa, wala kang ginawa. If you can check, no, possible na baka akala mo yung binabayaran mo na lang kasi isa na lang, so yung isang bahay na lang yung binabayaran mo. So, yun lang yung babayaran mo. Hindi. Once humingi ka ng tax clearance, posible hindi ka bigyan. Kasi yung record ng dalawa na wala, nandun pa. Ideally, dapat magsulat ka na that those two properties are already lost and destroyed. No? So, at least para mawala or mabilis doon sa kanilang record. Based on experience, usually, pag may ganun, you are really required to pay that kung hindi mo yan napag-test. That's the reason why I have to emphasize it because there are some na lalo na kung sige, neto na lang kami. Ayan, neto na lang. Was this kami ang bahala kami na lang bahala sa lahat ng taxes. Now, if that would be the arrangement, pwede naman yun. Kaya lang, what if akala mo sa computation mo, yun lang. Yung pala may dalawa pang arrears. So, you have to pay that para ka lang magka-tax clearance. May mga ganun. So, very important that you always have to update your record in the assessor's office. It's dapat i-report. Thank you. So there's a major change in actual use from residential to commercial to industrial. No? So any great and sudden inflation or deflation of real property values and the gross illegality of assessment uh, or any abnormal costs. Okay? Now, appeals. Now, question. When you receive a notice that the value of your property is not already 1 million pesos but 10 million pesos, how would you feel? How would you feel? Kung sakaling pag ano nyo is 10 million pesos na pala yung value. Merong notice na yung market value ng property mo 10 million pesos. How would you feel? No reaction? Happy? Okay. Pero malaki ang RPE? Okay. Happy and worried? Thank you for those reactions. Di ba? Mixed emotions tayo, di ba? Happy kasi, oh my God, yung aking investment pala, sabi ko na eh, tama yung investment ko. Kasi tingnan mo, binili ko lang ng ganito, ngayon tingnan mo, value na. Diba? Ganun yung mga usapan minsan. Diba? Kaya lang, pag galing sa assessor yung value na yan, medyo makakapag-isip ka, di ba? Kung 1 million ang value naman, tapos yung 10 million na, 10 times yung value na increase sa market sa real property tax kasi there is a direct proportion between the factors. No? Let's say, for example, there's an increase in market value, there's a corresponding increase also in the real property tax considering everything is constant. So appeal. So what will we do? Usually, some just complain, but please take note that there is a procedure for that. Okay? Uh, yung valuation of the assessor that you receive may be appealed
Huawei.
to the local board of assessment appeals within 60 days counted from the receipt of the notice of assessment. So 60 days. So pag ma-receive mo, 60 days from that date, okay, you can appeal to the local board of assessment. Okay? Now, let's say si LBAA sinabi na, ay naku, talagang 10 million pesos na dyan. Okay? So, the person may also appeal that. So, since denied siya, pwede na naman niyang i-appeal yun sa Central Board of Assessment Appeals within 30 days from the receipt of the decision. So, kung na-receive niya ang decision o denied siya, then pwede siya within 30 days to appeal that to the Central Board of Assessment Appeals. Okay? Then they shall be Filipino citizen. Ito yung mga qualification as SCBAA. We'll not discuss in detail about it because we're not taking the exams. So again, the duty of person acquiring real property, we're making, what happened to this? Making, making improvements thereon. So, ang duty nila is to file a sworn statement declaring the true value of the subject property within 60 days after the acquisition of such property or upon completion or occupancy of the improvement whichever comes earlier. So ganun po yun. No? 60 days from that, after the acquisition of such property or upon completion or occupancy of the improvement whichever comes earlier. Okay? So 60 days from that. Then, ito very important, notification of transfer of real property ownership. So, persons who transfer the ownership of real property to another have to notify the assessor of such transfer within 60 days from the date of such transfer. So, when you try to transfer titles, hindi yan mag-e-end sa pag-transfer ng title lang. You have to transfer the tax declaration. And you have to do that within 60 days from the date of such transfer. Otherwise, in some LGUs, they might have ordinances as to the imposition of the penalties and surcharges. So like just like in some of the LGUs here in Metro Manila, there are some LGUs na nag-i-impose ng 2,000, 2,500, 3,500. Kung hindi mo matransfer ang tax debt within 60 days from the date of such transfer. So, very important po na i-transfer po natin. Okay? Okay. Collection of real property tax. The date of accrual of tax is January 1 of each year. So, yun po. But the payment, it can be done in installment, okay, in for equal installment without interest, payable on or before March 31, June 30, September 30, and December 31. Okay? So, yun po ang installment payment. Discount. Okay. Can you type in the chat box if ever you experience paying real property tax at a discount? Can you type the rate and the place? Can you type the rate and the place? Yung nagbayad kayo ng amilyar pero discounted siya. Kung naka-experience kayo niyan, can you type the rate ng discount at saka yung place? Wala pa naka-experience dito na nagbayad ng amilyar na may discount? Okay. Parang wala ata. Walang sumasagot. Okay. So, anyone? It's different with amnesty. Yung parang you pay, thank you ma'am, thank you Ian, 20%, where ma'am? 20% Consolacion, okay, Cebu, Cebu, okay. 20% Bayugan City, 10%, saan yan Sir Robert? Live tayo ha, kikita, hindi to record. Manila, okay, see? Yung iba, okay, 20% Consolacion Cebu. I have clients in Cebu, but it's been a long time I haven't been there. Parang high school pa at ako pumunta doon. Okay, anyway, I hope to visit Cebu soon. Ano pa, yung iba, how about in other places? Okay, baka yung iba hindi talaga. So, like here in Makati, it's 10%, no? May iba 15%, mayroong 5%. Now, what is in the code? Okay. Sa code, sabi, not to exceed 20% of the annual tax due. Pwede palang mag-impose ng discount but not to exceed 20% of the annual tax due. Okay. Now, valid ba yung 10% na imposition ng discount? Okay lang ba yun? Or in violation yan sa code? Okay lang ba yun? Yes or no? Okay lang. Kasi ang sabi is 10 not to exceed 20%. So 20% does not exceed 20%. No? The 10% does not exceed 20%. So ganun po. With the answers na iba-iba, it will just show you na posible talaga na iba-iba ang rates bawat LGU. Okay? What we are studying here right now, kung ano yung basis ng mga ng mga ordinansa nila, dapat hindi magbabiolate sila sa provision ng local government code. Otherwise, it can be questioned. Diba? So, in which case, ordinances, okay, it must be in accordance with the local government code. So, knowing na posibleng iba-iba ang rate, iba-iba ang guidelines, iba-iba ang pero must be in accordance pa rin sa local government code. That's why if you are from Cebu and you have transaction in Metro Manila or let's say Makati for that matter, then you have to check no kung ano yung mga rates, kung ano yung mga requirements natin, di ba? Kasi posible na mag-iba po yung rate. No? Very important that before you face your client, you also study your your what's this the subject property. This is the reason why I bet to disagree when people say that ay yung mga broker lang naman. Ay nako, ano lang yan. Imagine they will get 5% commission. Nag nag floka-floka lang ng ano, ganun pa yung iba, no? Parang wala namang ano yung ano nila. Diba? But now, you know, it's not like that. Our advice will save them millions, okay? If, well, if you have a wrong advice, then it will, ano din, parang magkakaroon din sila ng problema worth millions also. Diba? That's the reason why this profession should really be monitored. No? Para na tayo medyo um, aware tayo sa updates, aware tayo sa procedure, para lalo na tayo mga salesperson, tayo yung nasa frontline, dapat natin sila i-guide properly and we will tell them the correct this application of that or tama ba to or hindi ba tama. Okay? So, now, interest. Once you talk about interest, let's say for example, may delinquency ka na real property tax on December 2000. Is it correct na yung amount ng December 2000 na yan must incur interest pa until today? Yes or no? Year 2000, may delinquency ka, yung amount na yun, hindi mo pa nabayaran. Yung December of 2000, let's for example. Tama ba na mag-impose ng tax, okay, mag-impose ng interest from 2000 up to today? Tama ba? Yes or no? Okay. Generally, when we talk about interest, we talk about we know that the formula is principal times rate times time, di ba? However, kaya po tayo nag-aaral ng particular law because it might happen that there are provisions in that law na specific to that particular transactions, di ba? So, in which case, no, okay, I'll just drink water, just quick. So, interest, no, generally, we will think that interest times rate times time. But as I've said, there are some law, with this, no, we're studying a particular law, the RA 1760. May provision na specific to this kind of transaction. So, in which case, we should apply that here. No? So, like in this instance, no, pag ang interest daw, sabi dito sa law, 2% per month on the unpaid amount or a fraction thereof, but not to exceed 36 months. So, ibig sabihin, pwede siyang mag-ano, but not to exceed 36 months. So, yung December of 2000, yung December of 2000, mag-i-incur lang siya ng interest up to 36 months. So, beyond that, hindi na yun dapat nag-i-incur ng interest. So, yung iba na lang. Kasi, syempre, the fact that you have that property, you will be incurring really real property tax every, diba? May tax ka talagang babayaran dyan. Quarterly yung payment natin. So, yun. So, pag hindi mo nababayaran, nagkaka-interest yan. Pero, yung particular period, up to 36 months lang yung kanyang hindi pwedeng until ngayon na hindi pa pay. Yung, let's say, December of 2000, which is specific kasi yung mga utang mo, let's say, last month or last year, meron kayang interest na. So, at least you know na 2% per month, but not to exceed 36 months. Payment under protest. So, um, so ang requirement if there are some taxes na you feel like sandali, parang I'm questioning this, hindi tama ang computation, I'm questioning this. Kasi ang requirement is pay first the tax. And then after that, ilalagyan lang ng annotation na paid under protest. Then after that, um, there is a protest in writing filed within 30 days from the payment of the tax to treasurer, and then the treasurer will make a decision within 60 days from the sale. So this is the procedure of my protest pay. So you pay first the tax, then nakatatak lang paid under protest, then protest in writing, then now, period within which to collect real property taxes. The basic real property tax and other taxes in shall be collected within 5 years from the date they become due. No action for collection of the tax, whether administrative or judicial, shall be instituted after the expiration of such period. If you will read the provision, sinasabi na after 5 years, dapat wala ng action for collection of the tax. Sabi dyan eh, di ba? Very clear. However, usually when we try to question that, they will say, oh, there is that's a case of fraud and attempted with tax. And so the consideration is within 10 years from the discovery of such fraud or attempted tax. And usually, the LGUs will not accommodate the request na hindi na sila mangolekta. Diba? So that's the reason why also, sometimes our client will say, ay nako, hayaan mo na yan, bayaran na lang natin yan para ko na tumabenta. Ayoko na lang sakit ng ulo. Diba? So hindi na masyado na robust yung provision. Now, condonation and reduction of real property tax. Real property tax. So, pwede pong magkaroon ng condonation or reduction program. So, local governments through the sangguniang concern by ordinance passed by the first day of January of any year and upon recommendation of the local disaster coordinating council may condone wholly or partially the taxes and interest for the succeeding year or years in the case of um, general failure of crops. Okay? And then, ito yung grounds, no? Kung kailan sila magkakaroon ng combination or reduction of real property tax and interest. Substantial decrease of the price of agricultural or agri-based products, calamity, the President of the Philippines when the public interest so requires. So, here, posible pag before January 1, no, pag meron ng amnesty, pag meron silang ground, maglalaan sila ng condonation, pwede yan condonation ng all interest and surcharge, pwede reduction lang, let's say 50% lang, depende yan sa ordinance na pinapasa ng LGU. Kung walang ordinance na ganyan, walang reduction, di ba? But I suggest whenever there is such kind of news in your town or in another town for that matter wherein you have clients, you should inform your clients about it. It's good to be of help to your client. In that way, they will remember you, diba? But of course, when you do things, you don't expect something in return. Parang hindi kayo mag-frustrate, diba? It should be a reward in itself. So, since you are and he is your valued client, you inform him about the updates. No? You inform him about the things that you have to take note of. Okay. Assessment of property subject to back taxes. Is it possible na meron kang house and lot, gusto mong ibenta. Yung ibinibenta mo na, hiningan ka ng certified true copy ng tax debt ng house and lot. Okay? Ng buyer, syempre, hingin yun. Now, pumunta ka sa assessor. Pupunta mo, na-discover mo, ang lupa lupa lang ang may tax debt. Ang bahay wala. Kasi wala, walang nakadeclare. Okay. Kasi yung bahay ay 50 years na. Ang tanong, tama ba na ah, tama ba na they will compute for the uh, they will compute for the back taxes for 50 years since the building was constructed? Is it correct to compute for the back taxes for 50 years? Yes or no? Example, God. No, correct. No, hindi ko natatanungin mo. You know? Correct. Correct. It's no. Because according to the code, real property declared for the first time. Ito po yung wala pa talagang tax rate. Ngayon mo palang i-declare. So for real property declared for the first time, uh, it shall be assessed for taxes for the period during which it would have been liable, but in no case, okay, for more than 10 years prior to the date of initial assessment based on the applicable schedule of values in force during the corresponding period. So the ano is 10 years plus the current year. So kung ngayon ka nag-aano ng first time mo pa lang i-declare, so yung back taxes mo is 10 years plus the current year. Okay, so ganun po yung back taxes natin. Okay, clear? So, di ba, it's good that we know that kasi baka yung client natin, medyo natatakot siya, hindi niya alam eh. Pag hindi mo alam talaga, you'll be afraid. Knowledge is power. So, once you know, more or less hindi ko manloloko kasi kung example, alam niya may iba dyan na nag-take advantage, alam nilang hindi mo alam. Tapos, they know na talagang takot na takot ka. Baka sabihin na, actually, ganyan yan eh. 50 years yan. Ako, o din. Pero pwede nating pababain sa 10 years. Yung pala, yun lang pala talagang batas. Eh. So, see, it's good for us to know those things. Okay. 10 years is the current year. So, maximum period for assessment of taxes or back taxes is 10 years prior to the initial assessment. Then, sale of property due to delinquent taxes. Ito, we have to know this. May iba na there's a reason why I emphasize na once you own a property, you have the obligation to pay the real property tax. If you don't pay on time or if you don't pay it, then there's a tendency that it will be auctioned. So, in which case, pag ma-auction yan, delinquent taxes yan. So, uh, di ba, pag you only have a period for redemption. So what's the procedure? What's the provision all about? In case of unpaid, this is not really foreclosure. Foreclosure is different. Foreclosure is when you have a loan and then hindi mo nabayaran. So, ang ano ng mortgage or ang mortgagee is to foreclose the property. This is actually auction levy of the property. No? It's levying the property. So, in the case of unpaid or delinquent taxes, the local government shall post a notice of delinquency and thereafter the property is sold at public auction but with the right of delinquent owner to redeem the property within 1 year from the date of sale and subject to the payment of the amount of delinquent tax, including the interest thereon and the expenses of sale from the date of delinquency to the date of sale plus interest of not more than 2% per month on the purchase price from the date of sale to the date of redemption. So here, um, you can see in the provision na pag sakaling ibenta yan at a public auction, okay, um, as a delinquent property owner, you only have 1 year from the date of sale to redeem the property. And then, once you redeem the property, you have to pay the expenses, you have to pay the, ito yung mga naka-acknowledge. So I suggest when you receive a notice of delinquency and the property is important to you, then I suggest that you try to make ways in order for you to more or less solve that problem. Otherwise, tingnan mo, mas malaki yung problema. And there are instances wherein uh, 1 year from the date of sale, after that, you have na money. And kahit pa ilan ang pera mo, kung ayaw nang ibenta ng highest bidder, kasi wala ka ng right dyan, wala na developer, so hindi mo makukuha yung property. Diba? So parang yung iba, parang bibilihin mo na ulit ang property at their price. Diba? Kung beyond 1 year. So, very important that we know our obligation so that we will not go to that and we will not experience that concerns. Okay, let's proceed. So, ano yung allocation or ng proceeds? So, yung mga basically ang property tax, pag provincial collection, province will get 35%, municipality will get 40%, and barangay 25%. Okay, city collection, share of the city 70%, share of the barangay is 30% to be divided as follows. Barangay where the property is located is 50% of the 30%, and other component barangays in the city to be divided equally 50% of the 30%. So, municipal collection within Metro Manila, share of the MMDA 35%, may share of MMDA, share of the municipality 35%, and share of the barangay is 30%. Barangay where the property is located 50% of the 30%. Other component barangays in the city to be divided equally 50% of the 30%. So, yan. Then SEF, it will go to the local school boards. Then idle land tax, it goes to the general fund. And special levy will go to the general fund. Okay? Now, we're done with real property tax. At least we know already how it is computed, the provisions pertinent to that in the under the local government code. Now we go to the second tax that we pay in the local government unit, and that is transfer tax. Now, so on the sale, exchange, or disposition of real property, pag provinces, not more than 50% of the 1% of the total consideration involved in the acquisition of the property or of the fair market value in the case of monetary consideration involved is not substantial, whichever is higher. So, ang rate ng tax is 50% of 1%. But I suggest, no, once you have transaction in a certain city or municipality for that matter, you have to check with them how much is the transfer tax rate so that you can more or less make a budget or tell your client na, "Oy, client, aside from the purchase price, you have to prepare this amount in order for you to transfer the title in your name." Okay? So, cities not to exceed the maximum allowed for provinces by more than 50% up to the 75% of 1%. So, in some cities here in Metro Manila, meron 75% of 1%, maiba 60% of 1%. So, you have to check na. Kasi baka iba yung ordinansa nila doon. Diba? Sa particular city na yun. Okay. When payable, within 60 days from the date of execution of the deed or from the date of the sealer's death. Where payable, local government unit or the treasurer's office. Okay? Now, by the way, before I go to the last slide, there is some cities here in Metro Manila. That's why you have to check. No? Like in Taguig, they require a business tax of 1% uh, for the if ever the seller is a corporation or there's a business. No? They charge for 1% additional, aside from the transfer tax. Okay? At least that's why you have to check the specific LGU where the transaction or where the property is located. Now there is a Supreme Court decision, the case of Mandanas, that the just share of the LGU from the national taxes is not limited, okay, to national internal revenue taxes collected by the PIR, but includes collection of custom duties by the Bureau of Customs. This ruling will significantly increase the internal revenue allotment of the local government unit thus will affect the fiscal situation of the national government. Okay? So, this decision, uh, parang lumaki yung basis ng for the IRA of the LGUs, no? In which case, lalaki ang kanilang budget, and we can expect that there are some projects, no, that will be devolved to the local government unit because of this change. Okay, so yeah, I guess that ends my discussion, and I hope you learned something from me today. And I'm ready for question. For the first part, we will go to the second part for the national taxation after the question and answer. Are we going to have the question and answer? What do you want? We have the question and answer now, and then or we have a break, then I'll continue with my second half. Para talaga akong nagko-concert, my first half and second half. So, uh, what is the pleasure uh, of the participants? Question and answer muna. May questions ba ngayon? You can raise your hand if you have, or if you want, we can. Okay, can we collect a professional fee for the processing of documents? Yes, definitely. Di ba? Papagawin ka ng something tapos wala kang bayad. That's involuntary servitude. Di ba? Okay. As salespersons, okay, and we brokers, no, once we let the buyer and the seller meet, no, we are the procuring cause of the sale. Kaya nagkaroon ng bentahan dahil tayo nag-negotiate, kahit hindi ikaw yung nag-offer, ikaw nag-negotiate, ikaw, dahil dun sa mga skill na ginawa mo, okay, nagkaroon ng bentahan. With that, you're already eligible for um, professional fee. Now, the processing, ideally, there's a separate fee for that. Hindi po joke ang mag-process. So, yung pag-process ay, well, it takes time, it talagang kakain niya ng oras. So, it has a different fee. But for some, kung let's say you had a 40 million commission, medyo ibibigay mo na lang yan, no? Pag may ganun, or malaki yung commission mo and you're happy with that, and for you to more or less give an add-on service to my client, na para ano, sige ako nang bahala. Diba? Para doon din ako sa kanya. May mga ganun. Okay. Ma'am, paano po yung issue? Okay, wait lang. Wait mo basa. You want to ano? As to the fee, it depends. No, it really depends on you. Kasi ikaw magpa-process eh. Diba? Anong amount ang happy ka? Okay? Kasi iba kung medyo may experience ka na, iba kung medyo yung time mo very valuable, di ba? There's a cost on the time. So, it really depends. Case to case yan. Di ba? Sige. Ano pa yung question? May gusto niyo mag-raise ng hand para at least I can just more or less talk to you. Yung mga ancestral domain property, pwede ko ba mabenta, attorney? Well, actually, there are restrictions on that. No? I know there are some issues with there in Pampanga wherein those ancestral domain has been being bought or converted to subdivisions and all. Ideally, there are restrictions on that. In fact, if those are ancestral domain, they cannot transfer it without the approval of the yung ano diyan katutubo at saka yung yung ano yun? Yung kanang I forgot the name. But anyway, merong government agency na mag-ano yan. Hindi basta-basta yan na magta-transfer. Okay? NCIP, thank you so much for that. Yun. Thank you. NCIP. Tama. There should be approval on that. Kagaya yan ng ano eh, kagaya yan ng ah, mga, let's say, yung covered ng park, diba? You cannot transfer properties considered as agricultural kung walang dark clearance. Same is true with that. May specific procedure po yan. In fact, hindi po basta-basta po matatransfer yan. Okay? Kasi under the law, protected din yung ating mga katutunan. Okay? Ay na maraming issue dyan sa ano. Okay, yung capital gains tax, mamaya po natin i-discuss. We are trying muna to discuss first doon sa local government taxation. Susunod po yan, no? Yung mga, we'll talk about income tax a bit, then we talk about capital gains tax, we talk about ma'am, paano po pag 2 hectares property binenta in 2 lots, paano po ang process ng tax declaration? Hindi ko maintindihan. Okay. You mean may 2 hectare land, pagkatapos binenta, so syempre kung 2 hectare land, can you unmute so that I know your question? It's hard to assume. Ma'am Joy? Okay, sige. Pag ganyan, let's say for example, 2 hectare land, posible isa lang yung tax debt as of the moment, right? Tapos binenta mo, tama? Okay. Binenta mo yung property. Sige, dito na lang tayo. Chat na lang muna tayo. Okay. In which case, okay, binenta ang property, you have to have a subdivision plan for that. In that subdivision plan, there will be, you have to hire a licensed genetic engineer for you to have an approved subdivision plan, and you will have a specific technical description each. So once you transfer already the property, together with all other requirements, you need that technical description approved by the DNR for you to submit it, and then it will be the basis for your new title when separate na sila. Dapat talaga may approved subdivision plan where you have to have a separate tax declaration and title, so to speak. Okay? Meron po bang emancipation patent na pwedeng ibenta? Yes, meron. But you have to be, you should conduct due diligence on that. Very important pag mga ganyang titulo, you know na walang mga tenants or kung may ano ba, mai-issuehan ka ng guard clearance. Okay? Very important yon kasi may iba na, kasi mura yan eh, di ba? Diba? Kaya minsan napapamura dahil maraming requirements, to get for a conversion, medyo ma madali minsan. Or yung clearance medyo madali. Possible po bang mabenta yung house na naka-attach ang wall sa house ng kapatid? At si kapatid ayaw ng ibenta ng share niya. Wait, sino ang may-ari ng titulo? By the way, it might be, I don't like to encroach on others' topics. Let's focus lang on local government taxation, okay? Baka i-discuss yan on other topics. So, yun. Okay? May question pa? Or we can have a break. Ilan ba minutes? Meron ba dyan? Merit? From Merit? Anyone from Merit?
Um, Ilang minutes po, attorney? After 10 minutes break, you want to have a 10 minutes break?
Okay sa akin, 5 to 10. Okay lang.
Okay, okay guys, let's have first a 10 minutes break so that you can have your coffee or you can do comfort food.
Stretch. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sige. Okay. See you after 10 minutes. We'll discuss about national taxation. For those of you still have questions on the first topic, I can entertain your questions afterwards. Okay? Sige. Thank you. See you later. Bye. After 10 minutes. Bye.
Please, attorney.